Chapter 51. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Then you should know. Yi Li, who'd just been showing Skye and the others around, waved his hands. You're interrupting something good. Practicing self-defense with the girls, huh? Tony said, with a knowing look. That's cool. What's the next move? He chuckled. I bet it involves locking the door so I can't walk in and almost get a foot to the face. Hearing their direct talk, the three girls got a little shy and huddled behind Yi Li. Even Felicia, who usually dropped her cool act around Yi Li, went quiet and regained her composure. After all, they were still in high school. Besides, Stark's reputation made them hesitant to get involved in their conversation. He was a notorious playboy, but Tony was intrigued by Yi Li. I didn't expect an artist like you to get into fighting. He took a boxing stance, bounced lightly on his feet, and challenged Yi Li. I've been sparring with Happy lately. Wanna go a few rounds? To be a good superhero, Iron Man, Tony had been practicing, but he was still pretty green. It just so happened they ran into Yi Li, another beginner. Of course, he wasn't going to pass up the opportunity, and Tony Stark, always a show-off, while he wasn't trying to pick up on the girls, he definitely wouldn't mind showing off a little in front of some young beauties. Seeing Tony's confidence, Yi Li grinned, *perfect*, a human punching bag delivered right to his doorstep. This was great, it would give Skye and the others a clearer look at the moves. After all, when he tried to demonstrate moves with a girl, things always got close working. With Tony, he wouldn't have that issue. He was confident he could control his strength, so he wasn't worried about accidentally beating Iron Man to a pulp. Alright, let's do this. Yi Li walked to the open space in the studio and challenged Tony. Don't worry, I'll take it easy on you. Of course, Tony wasn't backing down. He turned to Happy and said, if I start going too hard, pull me off him. Happy nodded. Don't worry, boss, I got you. Tony was pleased. He bounced on his feet and faced Yi Li. You've bulked up. You've been putting in the work. Yi Li returned the compliment. You're not looking too shabby yourself. After the pleasantries, they got ready to fight. Happy watched closely, like he was ready to yank Tony back at any moment. Skye and Felicia also watched with curiosity, wanting to see the practical application of what Yi Li had been teaching them. Only Cindy seemed uninterested. She knew that Stark, the famous rich guy and scientist, wouldn't stand a chance against someone with the spider totem. Yi Li didn't take Tony's punches seriously. He was really just using Tony to demonstrate the moves for the girls. Otherwise, he would have finished him in one move. After a few exchanges, Tony felt like he was being led around. Every punch was either dodged or blocked. He was easily parried. The force behind the attacks didn't feel much different from his own, but he was getting schooled in technique. That's exactly what he needed. Tony's armor provided the strength, but he was also learning to fight to improve his technique. While Tony was distracted, Yi Li had almost finished demonstrating the moves to Skye and the others. Seeing that Tony wasn't paying attention, he was about to wrap things up. At that moment, Happy jumped in and grabbed Tony, pulling him back. Boss, you're going too hard. Mr. Yi Li can't take that. Tony snapped out of it and gave Happy a look of approval. Good job, Happy. I almost hurt him, but thanks to you, nothing happened. Yi Li rolled his eyes. Give me a break, but he didn't mind. Happy's fighting skills were barely passable. The reason he was Tony's bodyguard was more because of their friendship. Knowing Happy was just trying to save face, he asked Yi Li, what style of fighting is that? He wanted to learn it. Compared to these slick moves, the boxing he'd been doing was nothing. Basic martial arts. Yi Li told Tony, then asked the girls, did you catch all that? Yep. Skye raised her hand, looking like an enamored schoolgirl. Li, you're so cool. Looks pretty awesome. Felicia clenched her fists, getting a feel for the fighting style. Maybe if she practiced this, she wouldn't have to worry about getting harassed by the dorky guys at school. Cindy had already anticipated the results, but she praised him sweetly. It's great. Tony saw the girls praising Yi Li, unaware that Yi Li was just using him as a prop. He was even more determined to learn it. He grabbed Yi Li and said, teach me this fighting style too. I'll pay you. Name your price. Ugh. Yi Li yawned and said with little interest, it depends. I'll teach you when I have time. You know how I am. Tony then remembered how lazy Yi Li was. It took him forever to get a painting customized. Okay, just come by and teach me whenever you're free. Consider it a fun little thing. Chapter 52. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Alright, how about I pick out a few paintings to take with me. Tony, remembering why he came, scanned the studio and grabbed the ones he liked. Whatever, just pay up. Yi Li was indifferent. Just a heads up, this gallery is my workplace, but I don't keep a ton of my paintings here. You're better off checking out an art show. Tony chuckled. It's just a little browsing. I know you stashed the good stuff in the north building. Just knowing is enough. Don't go blabbing and get me in trouble. Yi Li grabbed a bottle of something light from the fridge. Want a drink? Definitely. Tony gestured. Pour me one. Yi Li set the bottle and a glass on the table. Help yourself. I got it. Happy stepped up, poured Tony a glass and handed it over, then poured one for himself. Oh, this is good. Not bad at all. Tony took the wine but didn't drink it yet, his attention fixed on a painting on the wall. It was of a very attractive woman. Has she been here before? The date on the signature's before mine, so it's legit yours. Tony recognized her as a cover girl he'd gone out with, but couldn't seal the deal because of his PTSD from Afghanistan. Yi Li sipped his wine. Don't get the wrong idea. I'm not like you. It was just a portrait. Tony was blunt. Come on, that's why we get along. He put the painting back, knowing Yi Li didn't sell pieces like that. There were 3 gorgeous girls behind me. Yi Li pulled Skye's hand away from him. Tony, you can't be blind. You should probably stop talking now. Okay, my bad. Tony said, swirling the wine in his glass as he kept looking around. He suddenly stopped, intrigued. What's this you've got here? Tony picked up a small, dusty picture frame from the corner. It was a drawing of someone in golden red armor. You a fan of Iron Man? Tony brushed off the portrait. Kinda rude to leave it lying around like this, but it's a pretty good piece. Yi Li said casually, just a random doodle. I liked the armor. It really was just something he'd sketched when he was bored. He never expected anyone to find it. I'll take it. Tony handed the painting to Happy, then he got Yi Li's bank details, and with a wave of his hand, transferred him a generous sum. Yi Li didn't even check the payment. Alright, get going. No need to see you out. Tony was taken aback by the dismissal. I wasn't done yet. Looks like you want to hang out with your girl a little longer. I'll head out. Remember what I told you. Later. After Tony left, Yi Li didn't get back to hanging out with Skye and the others like they thought he would. Instead, he told them, you guys keep practicing. I need to run out for a bit. He only went out to chill when he had time, but didn't give him his uniform. Looks like I need to meet up with Tony again, but as someone else. Tony got home, wanting to give the Iron Man painting to Pepper, but she wasn't there. Beep. His phone buzzed. It was Pepper. Before he could answer, his face went pale and purple veins popped out on his forehead. Obadiah Stane, a big shot at Stark Industries, stepped out from behind Tony, putting away a small device. I really wanted you to see my steel suit, Tony, but guess it wasn't meant to be. He sneered and tore the arc reactor out of Tony's chest. Too bad Pepper had to get involved. I was hoping she'd make it. Oh, what's this? Before leaving, Obadiah spotted the painting Tony had left on the sofa, picked it up, and laughed. Iron Man. That's a joke. You think saving refugees pays the bills? He was about to rip the painting. I don't know what you find so funny, but you should put that down. A voice came from the shadows. Yi Li, dressed as Night Spider, stepped into the light. Black Spider. Obadiah froze, remembering the reports from a while back, Tony was in league with him. This was unexpected. But Yi Li didn't care what Obadiah was thinking, he simply patted him on the shoulder, then snatched the painting and the arc reactor. Obadiah didn't resist, he knew Black Spider, unlike other superheroes, showed no mercy, he'd even crushed Norman Osborn, the head of Oscorp. Without a second thought, he gulped. Black Spider, maybe we can talk this over. Yi Li ignored him, looking only at Tony. Tony Stark, I've saved your butt twice now, no, 3 times, if you count Electro. I think we're not done yet, hurry up and make what I want, if I need something in the future, I'm coming back to you. Tony didn't reply, he couldn't, but inside he was screaming. Dude! Can you get this thing back in me? I'm about to crash. Okay, maybe not exactly those words, but something like that. Obadiah, the shrewd businessman, saw his opportunity and immediately offered. Black Spider, I can provide whatever Tony needs to build for you. And I can do it better. That he didn't ask what Yi Li wanted, just made a bold claim, trying to sound like the reliable choice. Tony panicked, silently begging, but he couldn't speak. He couldn't negotiate. It wasn't fair. He didn't think he and Black Spider were friends, and Black Spider might just switch sides. While Tony was freaking out, Obadiah kept trying to sell Yi Li on the idea. If you ditch this guy, I can give you so much more. Wealth, power, fame. Anything you want. Tony was desperately trying to say, I can do that too. Don't listen to him. Obadiah finished, he looked at Yi Li, confident. So, what do you say? I don't think anyone can refuse these conditions, and we'll have plenty of chances to work together in the future. You're annoying. Yi Li grabbed Obadiah by the throat. You. Obadiah was lifted off the ground, Yi Li's grip like an iron vice. He stared in disbelief. Yi Li tilted his head. I think you've made a mistake. There's only one Tony Stark, but guys like you are everywhere. You think too highly of yourself. While Obadiah struggled, kicking his legs, Yi Li did what he usually did and snapped his neck. He didn't have anything against Obadiah, but if he was already involved, then a villain like that had to be dealt with. Obadiah wasn't dead, but he'd be in a vegetative state for the rest of his life, if Tony decided to keep him alive. Chapter 53. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The arc reactor, glowing blue, spun in Yi Li's hand as he jammed it back into Tony's chest. Thump, star. Yi Li gave a light punch, and the arc reactor clicked into place. Cough. 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 Tony hacked, gasping for air. He patted his chest and glared at Yi Li. Dude, a little gentler next time, huh? Knock it off. Yi Li snapped, where's the suit? Don't tell me you haven't finished it yet. It's done. I was just about to let you know. Tony, still weak, gestured. A platform rose nearby. On it were several high-tech suits, not bulky steel ones, but tighter, more streamlined designs. Thanks again this time. Tony was genuinely grateful, though his way of showing it was typical. There is only one Tony Stark. Oh, if I were a woman, I'd be all over you. Yi Li grabbed a couple of the suits, looking disgusted. Say something like that again, and I'll break your neck. Tony glanced at Obadiah, whose neck was twisted on the ground, his expression complicated. What about him? He's not dead. You deal with it. After grabbing the portable suits, Yi Li tossed Tony a small black stick. Can you make this? What is it? Tony saw a switch and, curious, flipped it. With a hiss, a blade of blue light shot out and sliced off a corner of the table. Luckily, he'd held it at an angle, otherwise, he'd have been toast. Holy crap! Tony yelled, quickly righting it. You didn't tell me it was a lightsaber. I almost got myself killed. So, can you make it? Yi Li didn't seem to care if Tony got skewered. He had an enhanced version of the horse talisman that could bring people back to life, and he had a unique ability to attract people. Hold on. Tony went to a console, deactivated the lightsaber, and placed it under a scanner. Jarvis, analyze the structure. Almost immediately, data and structural diagrams were projected. Jarvis's voice chimed in, "Sir, I recommend testing the maximum power output. Later, by the way, revoke Obadiah's access and give Black Spider top-level authorization." While issuing the commands, Tony zoomed in on a crystal structure within the lightsaber. "This is the lightsaber's power source." Jarvis responded, "Sorry, sir, I can't. Mr. Black Spider's profile is secured by a unique encryption. I cannot identify or access it." "What the hell?" Tony looked at Yi Li, surprised. "Are you an alien?" "Just focus on your work," Yi Li said calmly. "Authorization doesn't matter. I can get into your system whenever I want." What could Tony say? Cool, powerful. The most unusual part of this lightsaber has been identified. Tony pointed to the crystal component on the screen. "This is it. Jarvis, search the database. There's no material like this on Earth." "You are an alien, aren't you?" Yi Li thought to himself. "Is that a kyber crystal?" The system's lightsaber didn't require the user to have the Force. He figured the structure would be different, but he hadn't expected a kyber crystal. It seemed this particular kyber crystal could ignite the plasma beam on its own. "So, can you replicate it? Find an alternative material or something?" Yi Li suggested. "I need to test its capabilities." Tony led Yi Li to the lower lab and took out some alloys to slice with the lightsaber. "This is the gold titanium alloy I use for the Iron Man suit. Let's see." Whoa, he didn't even finish the sentence. The lightsaber sliced through the alloy like a hot knife through butter, which meant, this simple, unassuming weapon could easily cut him in half while he was wearing the suit. Tony glanced at Yi Li, speechless. Some people are just infuriating. Anything Yi Li pulled out could effortlessly destroy the armor he'd worked so hard to develop. Calming down, Tony analyzed the problem. Using arc reactor tech instead of the crystal for power, and modifying the structure, we might be able to make something similar, but it wouldn't be as powerful. Less powerful? Yi Li asked. Not enough energy. The arc reactor was a mini nuclear device, so it couldn't be inferior to the system's special kyber crystal. Not because of energy, the difficulty is controlling the blade, keeping it from going haywire. We'd have to weaken the power to maintain control. Tony was fascinated by the lightsaber. If he could equip his Iron Man suit with a weapon like this for close combat, it would dramatically increase its firepower. He looked at Yi Li. "After it's developed, I want to put it on the suit. Load this weapon. Don't worry, I won't mass-produce it without your okay, and the company has shut down the weapons division." "Fine by me, but I have one condition." Yi Li thought it was a great idea. "We'll add the ghost spiders and their battle suits at the same time." Chapter 54. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tony had a black line on his forehead. Loading a light blade into that skin-tight suit was way harder than doing it with his steel armor. "That'll kill a few brain cells," he muttered. Still, it was a win-win situation, so he agreed. Okay, I'll do my best. Just hang tight for the good news." Yi Li nodded, satisfied. The two messed around with the tech for a bit until Jarvis chimed in, "Sir, Ms. Potts is back. As long as she's okay." Tony stopped what he was doing. He'd already taken the time to call Pepper. Yi Li's spider sense flashed, showing him that old shield hand, Coulson, was with Pepper. "You're busy," he said to Tony. Then, activating the snake charm's invisibility and teleportation, he vanished. Tony just stared, dumbfounded. He really can just come and go as he pleases. A second later, Yi Li was back in the gallery, back in his studio. He saw Skye and Cindy practicing martial arts. "Here, put your hands like this." Cindy stood behind Skye, holding her wrist and guiding her hand. "Remember to use your waist when you punch." Skye obediently twisted her waist, and the effect was immediately better. "Cindy, you're amazing." Cindy grinned, then hooked Skye's ankle with her calf to correct her stance. "You have a great build. You must work out all the time." Skye asked, "Do you work out with Li?" "You guys are doing great." Yi Li walked in, looking around. Where's Felicia? Did she leave? Cindy peeked out from behind Skye. Felicia said something came up at home. She seemed to be in a real hurry. Oh, really? Ye Li had a feeling he knew what it was, so he didn't pry. He gave the two girls a warm smile. All right, let me give you some pointers first. Meanwhile, Felicia rushed to the police station, a worried frown etched on her face. How could this be? My father's just a salesman, right? Why are they calling him the cat burglar? There has to be some kind of mistake. With that thought, she arrived at the New York Police Department, determined to defend her father, but then, Director George presented undeniable evidence that left her speechless. The NYPD has been working this cat burglar case for a long time, George said. After a thorough investigation, we have ample proof that your father, Walter Hardy, is the cat burglar. He laid out the evidence, but the girl just stared blankly. He couldn't help but soften his tone. I looked into your background when we were investigating Walter Hardy. Felicia Hardy, a classmate of my daughter's at Midtown High. As a father, I understand how tough this must be. I hope you can get through this. I know you, Chief George, Felicia said with a bitter smile. Your daughter's pretty popular at school. I've seen Gwen perform. George sighed, to have a classmate's father be a cop, but your own father be a thief, that's got to be a huge blow, Director George, what kind of sentence is my father facing? Felicia was still searching for a way to help him, he's given me a good life. Everyone else can blame him, but I can't, That's up to the court to decide. But based on my years of experience. George paused. If you can return the stolen goods, it could significantly reduce his sentence. But your father stole a lot, including some valuable treasures. He didn't finish the thought, but his meaning was clear. There was no way a high school student could afford to pay that back. Maybe he should try to talk some sense into Felicia, prevent her from following in her father's footsteps and going down the wrong path, but he was busy enough as police chief. He didn't have time to mentor high schoolers. George thought for a moment. He suddenly thought of Jessica, that girl sneaks out every day to play superhero, she's got the enthusiasm, but not the best judgment. I'll give her that, maybe if Felicia and Jessica hang out, Felicia will pick up some of Jessica's heroics. That way, she might stay on the right track, With that thought, Director George pulled out a band business card Gwen had given him and handed it to Felicia. I can't do much to help you, but you probably know my daughter's friend, Jessica. She's pretty popular at school. If you joined her band, you might be able to raise some money based on your popularity, and that was that. George felt like he was rambling, so he left, claiming he had other things to attend to. Felicia stared at the business card in her palm, pondered for a moment, and then slipped it into her school bag, but on the way home, she felt conflicted. A school band won't make much money. It's nowhere near enough to reduce my father's sentence, What Felicia didn't know was that her father was in deeper trouble than she imagined, much deeper. Chapter 55. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The intel's solid. This is a real opportunity here. A mountain of a man, Kingpin, sat in a plush chair, his mood darker than usual. Ever since his superpowered goons got tangled up with the Black Spider, things had gone downhill. Kingpin was finding it harder to spare the manpower to deal with street-level heroes messing with his businesses. He was having to solve problems himself, and a crime boss shouldn't have to get his hands dirty, but he had a solution cooking. The Super Soldier Project experimental formula and serum. Yeah, the same Super Soldier program that birthed Captain America. It was all locked in the head of a small-time thief called Civet, that if he could get his hands on it, he'd have an endless supply of enhanced muscle. He wouldn't even sweat the Black Spider. Kingpin barked an order, tell Otto I've approved the funding he wanted. He needs to grab the civet for me, ASAP. Police station. Not long after Felicia left, several men in black suits approached Director George Stacy. FBI. Here to take Walter Hardy, George asked after checking their credentials. Seems a bit out of your jurisdiction, doesn't it? One of the men flashed another ID, we have the proper authorization. Turns out he was a SHIELD agent. Director Stacy, we need to move quickly. We're on a tight schedule. I need to confirm this. George wasn't about to hand over a guy he'd worked hard to catch, but then. Prison break. Someone's breaking in, shouts erupted from the holding cells, followed by a commotion. Before George could react, the men in black suits raced toward the chaos. One of the agents spoke into his comm, "Sir, we have a situation. Someone's attacking the police station, probably after the civet. Hold them back. We're sending backup immediately. If you lose him, track him at all costs." "Yes, sir." Midtown High School, library. By the window, a pretty blonde girl, Gwen, rested her chin on her hand, idly turning the pages of her book, her gaze drifting to the sky outside. The clouds seemed to morph into a familiar face. Ever since that day, she and Ye Li had become inseparable. A day apart felt like forever. Gwen. Gwen. A hand landed heavily on her shoulder, shaking her. "Gwen, snap out of it." "Jessica, what gives?" Gwen snapped, her spider sense tingling. "I'm reading." "Quit shaking me." "Reading?" "You were staring out the window like you were in a trance," Jessica teased with a grin. "Missing him already?" "You're so sappy." Gwen, huh? "How could I be?" "You're making stuff up." Jessica tapped her lips, looking thoughtful. "Let me see, someone's crushing hard." Ever since she figured out Gwen's secret, Jessica never missed a chance to tease her. "I said stop," Gwen hissed, trying to web Jessica's mouth shut. "You're practically a nun. And I haven't forgotten that you seduced my boyfriend. I still need to get even with you for that." Just yesterday, she'd found out about Jessica and Ye Li. If it wasn't for Ye Li's quick thinking. Okay, let's not talk about that," Jessica stammered, blushing. She remembered the message. She showed the phone screen to Gwen. Skye sent a message. "Your dad's station is under attack." "What?" Gwen took the phone, confused, until she saw the picture. Some freak with 4 mechanical tentacles was tearing up the police station. The tentacles were fast, strong, and firing energy blasts that the cops couldn't handle. A few guys in black suits were holding him off with high-tech gear. A supervillain attacking a police station. Gwen bit her lip. "That's insane. I have to help." Worry got the best of her. Afraid for her father, she rushed to change into her Spider-Woman suit. "Hold on, Gwen." Jessica grabbed her. "Skye said Li Tuo's friend made some gear for us. We need to grab it from the club first." "Gear? Let's go." Gwen didn't hesitate. She trusted Ye Li. She dragged Jessica out of her seat. "Hey." Jessica rubbed her shoulder, "My backpack." Okay. Gwen raised her wrist, fired a web behind her, and yanked the backpack into her hand. After all the time as a superhero, her abilities were getting seriously slick. "Cool." Jessica grabbed the bag, impressed. Chapter 56. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What do I do? Maybe I should borrow some money, but who would loan me that much? On the way home, Felicia was still worried about her father. Thoughts raced through her mind. She couldn't help but think of Ye Li, her teacher. He seemed to have money. Even Stark was buying his paintings. He was the only person she knew who could, and might, help her. Felicia pursed her lips. Between her pride and her father's reduced sentence, she quickly chose the latter. But would he help me? We're not that close, and so many girls are after him. Felicia was almost home, hesitating and lingering. Finally, she decided, even if she had to use her body, if it was him, maybe it would be a beautiful thing. Felicia took out her phone to call Ye Li Wen. Well, Felicia. Finally caught you. A sleazy voice. It was a high school kid. Judging by his clothes, he came from a wealthy family. Ryan. Felicia's face turned icy. It's illegal to loiter around people's houses and harass them. Get lost before I call the cops. Oh, listen to you. Ryan smirked confidently. The thief's daughter threatens to call the police. That's rich. You. Felicia gritted her teeth. How do you know? I was just coming to see you, and bam, your dad got arrested. Ryan walked closer, leering. Why won't you go out with me, Felicia? Shut up. Don't say my name. Are you leaving or not? Felicia's patience was gone, her eyes grew colder, with her snow-white hair, she was like ice and snow, she kept strangers at arm's length. This was different from the occasional flirtatiousness she showed with someone she liked. Ryan was getting her usual treatment. Short on cash now, are we? Ryan ignored her rejection, taking advantage of the situation. Wouldn't want your dad getting roughed up in prison, right? How about I lend you some? Just be willing to hang out with me, heh heh heh. You. Ugh. Seeing his angle, Felicia forced a smile, masking her anger. Sorry, young Master Ryan, even if I sold my body, I wouldn't come to you. She regained her composure, mocking him. I've already picked my sugar daddy, I could sleep with him every day, do whatever he wants, and I still wouldn't look at you. You. Ryan was enraged. Shameless. Fine, then don't blame me for what happens next. He lunged. He was going to drag Felicia into an alley and have his way with her. Ryan, what are you doing? Seeing the creep coming at her, Felicia's eyes widened. It was too late to run, how dare he? As Ryan reached for her dash. Felicia's mind flashed back to the fighting skills Ye Li had taught her. She felt like a warm, strong hand was guiding her movements. She stepped aside, Ryan grabbed air. He tried again, and she dodged again. He stared at his hands, confused. Was he getting weak? Couldn't even grab a girl. Meanwhile, Felicia, gathering momentum, kicked out, using a clever technique to deliver a powerful kick that sent Ryan flying. Ah! Ryan screamed, slamming into the wall. His face was on fire, he touched his nose, blood everywhere. His nose was flat. When did Felicia get so strong? Just as Ryan was about to get up, someone grabbed his head and slammed it forward. Bam! Ah! 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 Ryan screamed like a stuck pig. If you're gonna be a pervert, little friend, you gotta have some skill. Ye Li tossed him aside. How's that move? Pretty powerful, right? Teacher, Felicia squealed, throwing herself into Ye Li's arms. Ye Li stroked her face. Call me Li. Li. Felicia bit her lip, then stood on tiptoe and kissed him. She'd been through so much today, she needed to express her emotions freely. Ye Li felt the intensity and knew he needed to use his skills to comfort her. On a deserted street, the handsome man and the beautiful woman embraced and kissed, creating a romantic scene. The guy on the ground kept howling, ruining the mood. They paused the kiss now and then to kick him again. Chapter 57. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Stop kicking. Ah. Cut it out. Ryan, his face twisted in pain, collapsed, too weak to get up. Ye Li and Felicia, both of them, were laying into him. The more he got kicked, the more it hurt. The more it hurt, the more he screamed, and the more he screamed, the more they kicked him. To top it off, the goddess was right there, making out with some dude, whose hands were all over her. Felicia made sure to grind her heel into Ryan's palm, crushing it. He felt like his self-respect was being stomped into the dirt. Driven by both physical and mental torment, Ryan found some hidden strength, ripped his hand free, and scrambled to his feet. Then, forehead, ran. He was terrified. He'd never suffered such humiliation in his life. Felicia opened her lavender eyes, puzzled. She glanced at Ryan, who was running away, urine streaming down his leg. She closed her eyes again, not really caring, just a clown. Getting it on with Li Tai was way more important. Ye Li, with his back to Ryan, smirked. You mess with Hardy, you don't get to just walk away. Ryan stumbled as he ran. Suddenly, the ground disappeared beneath his feet. Someone had removed the manhole cover. Damn it! What kind of jerk does that? Ryan yelled as he plunged into the sewer. He figured the blood in his eyes had blinded him. As he struggled to get out, something slammed into him from behind, shoving him down. Guh. 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 Rian was pinned down in the sewage, unable to move, drowning in the muck. After finishing the job, Yi Li deactivated the chicken talisman's power. The chicken talisman, its original ability was just flight, but after upgrading, it had powerful telekinetic abilities. So, Felicia felt those hands grabbing her, and that mysterious force that finished off Rian. All Yi Li. Leave. Just then, Felicia hesitated, I think. I need to borrow. She choked out a few words, but couldn't finish the sentence, closing her beautiful eyes and pursing her bright red lips. A rare look of sadness crossed her usually cold face, making her appear vulnerable. Felicia was still unsure. The person she admired was now her lifeline. If she could avoid it, she really didn't want to involve money in their relationship. Yi Li knew what she wanted to say, but he didn't say it outright. Instead, he took a deep breath and tried to guide her gently. Felicia. Well. What do you think? I can. Okay. Felicia was so caught up in showering him with affection that he kept getting interrupted from casting spells. Trigger Felicia Hardy's Family Matters mission. Prevent Walter Hardy from being kidnapped. The system message popped up again. Okay, let's stop here for now. Though reluctant, Yi Li pulled Felicia's head away. She was clearly in a strange mood. Leave. Don't you like me? But when Felicia saw Yi Li pull away, her eyebrows furrowed, looking sad, she said weakly, why won't you let me continue? Yi Li. Girl, how much have you had to drink tonight? If you keep this up, your dad's gonna get kidnapped. Felicia, don't you want to know, Yi Li said, picking up a few strands of Felicia's silver hair, why I came looking for you? Yes. Why? Felicia saw Yi Li's playful look and thought he was flirting. Her heart raced and she mumbled against his chest, you came out of nowhere like a superhero. I think I'm in love with you, my hero. I guess so. Yi Li reminded her gently, even without me, you probably could have beaten that guy half to death. He was half dead. When I got there, his nose was flat. That. Felicia looked up and said firmly, that's what you taught me. Anyway, I just like you. Yi Li, girls who are just falling in love are irrational. They'll always find an excuse, whatever, I won't worry about the mission right now. Besides, the black cat template, even fused, won't make a huge difference. Yi Li bent down slightly, he scooped Felicia up in his arms, carrying her like a princess. Is anyone home? You. What do you want to do? Felicia was both nervous and excited. My mom's home. She's probably in a bad mood, so you better not. Chapter 58. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yi Li looked at Felicia's house. Is that your room, the one with the window? Felicia hesitated. How could she even be here right now, with her dad arrested? Felicia? Yi Li asked again. Yeah, hold on. Felicia took a deep breath, a blush rising on her cheeks. That's my room. This is all to pay back the money. My parents can't blame me for this. Boom, 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 star. Felicia, are you breaking stuff? It sounds like you're losing it in there. Wanda, worry etched on her face, stood outside her daughter's locked door, trying to reason with her. Honey, I know what happened with your father is upsetting, but don't blame him. Felicia hadn't said a word since getting home. She just stormed into her room, slammed the door, and locked it. Then, the sounds of things being smashed had started. Vanna knew her daughter was angry with her father. One minute she was the star of the school, the next her father was a thief. It was a huge blow, especially at that age. Mom. Just a sec. Felicia whispered, clutching a collar in her hand. The smashing stopped. A girl's voice, strained and hoarse, came from behind the door. Mom. I'm fine. You don't have to worry about me. Felicia, are you right behind the door? Vanna pictured her daughter leaning against the door, her eyes blank with sadness, tears streaming down her face. Honey, your voice. Are you crying? Don't cry so hard. It's not good for you. We'll figure out a way to fix this mess with your father. No, Mom. I'm not crying. I'm not a little kid anymore. Her voice trembled. Felicia, I know you're hurting, but don't let it get to you. The more Wanda thought about it, the more her heart ached. Her daughter was being forced to grow up way too fast because of her husband's mistakes. Mechanical tentacles grabbed a police car and hurled it towards several SHIELD agents. The force was brutal. One agent coughed up blood and collapsed. This was Otto Gunther Octavius, aka Dr. Octopus. The 4 robotic arms he'd invented were unbelievably powerful. An experimental accident had fused them to his body, allowing him to control them with his mind. If those SHIELD agents hadn't interfered with an electromagnetic pulse device, Otto would already have the civet cat and be long gone. Now, though, there was nobody who could stop him. Who are you? Why are you grabbing me? Walter panicked when he saw the weirdo with the 4 arms and mechanical hands coming for him. As a seasoned thief, he knew that falling into the hands of guys like this would be worse than getting caught by the cops. Humph, Otto sneered. The civet was just a means to an end. If Kingpin hadn't provided the experimental funding, none of this would be his problem. Sir, he's getting away. A SHIELD agent barked into his comm. Has backup arrived yet? The response came back instantly, affirmative. Asterisk arrived, star. The agent blinked in surprise. An arrow, tipped with an oval head, zipped through the air and slammed into the mechanical arm holding the civet, right on target. The arrow flashed red a few times, the mechanical arm sparked and sputtered, then went limp, collapsing to the ground. The civet, freed from the metal claw, bolted away. Otto reacted instantly, using another robotic arm. He still had 2 more for locomotion, to snatch it up, but another arrow whizzed toward him, forcing him to block it. The mechanical claws, equipped with advanced computing power, automatically targeted the incoming projectile and fired a beam of light, trying to destroy it. But the arrow, at that close range, exploded on impact. Bang! When the smoke cleared, the irate Otto saw that the civet had made a significant escape. He turned around and yelled, "Damn it! Who did that?" Hawkeye ignored Otto's outburst. Seeing the civet almost escape, he radioed the action team to intercept. Targets headed toward your 4 o'clock position. ETA 5 minutes. Grab him and retreat immediately. I'll keep the big guy busy. Otto spotted Hawkeye and raised his mechanical arm, firing energy blasts at him. Pew pew pew. The light blasts kicked up small plumes of smoke. Hawkeye dove for cover, staying low to avoid the attacks, and returned fire with several multifunctional arrows. Otto didn't want to get bogged down with Hawkeye, however. The arrows were a constant threat that he couldn't ignore. Annoying pests. I'll take you out first. His paralyzed mechanical arm had just come back online. The 4 mechanical arms turned toward Hawkeye. Chapter 59. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hawkeye wouldn't really fight. He stashed his bow and arrow, turned tail, and ran. He was in pretty good shape. With the help of the winding alleys, Doc Ock couldn't catch him right away. This made Otto so mad he started tearing things up with his mechanical tentacles. Energy blasts went wild. One of them almost hit a girl on the street. It was about to nail her in the head. Hawkeye, still running, saw it and shot a grappling arrow at her, trying to yank her out of the way. What's up with Felicia? Cindy left the gallery wanting to check on her best friend. She's not answering my texts either. She was staring at her phone. Her spider sense suddenly went haywire. She whipped her head around just as an energy blast whizzed by. Instantly, she shot out a web and grabbed a nearby lamppost, swinging up to perch on top. The grappling arrow landed on empty pavement. Who was that? Cindy couldn't figure out who would attack her, because it was an attack. The grappling arrow meant it wasn't an accident, but a planned hit. Nearby, Hawkeye and Doc Ock were stunned by Cindy's moves. Could this be Ghost Spider? Using her amped-up spider sense, Cindy quickly spotted Hawkeye and Doc Ock. Who were these guys? Could they be working for Morlun? That seemed like the only possibility. Otherwise, Cindy couldn't think of anyone who'd be gunning for her. Run or fight? Better run. Cindy made up her mind fast. Gotta stay alive. The wind was picking up. Just as Cindy pulled up her collar to hide her face and bolt, Hawkeye reacted quicker than Doc Ock, taking the opportunity to shoot a goo arrow at Otto. A bunch of sticky stuff instantly covered Dr. Octopus, including his robotic arms, which got jammed up in the process. "Is there a fight?" Cindy was thrown by the situation. She didn't get what was going on, but she figured it was best to take off. They can slug it out if they want, not her problem, so she started shooting out some webs to leave, when, buzz. What? Cindy froze again. She felt that familiar tingle, the connection she felt when she was linked to Ye Li's spider sense. Nearby, as Cindy's feeling intensified, two figures in combat suits landed near her. Bang! Gwen hit the ground hard, kicking up dust. Raising her hands, she checked out the shimmering surface of the suit. "This feels so cool." Jessica, also in the advanced suit, turned her attention to Cindy. "Cindy, why are you up on a lamppost? And, is that spiderwebbing on your fingertips?" Because of Ye Li, Jessica and Cindy had gotten to know each other recently, but Cindy's current pose was unexpected. Why did she look so much like Gwen? "Jessica. So it's you and Ghost Spider. The uniforms are a little different from what I saw on TV." Cindy jumped down. She greeted Jessica, but her eyes kept drifting to Gwen. The shared spider sense told her who it was, Ghost Spider. "Cindy, are you Spider-Man, too?" Jessica stepped forward and grabbed Cindy, looking at her intensely and asking suspiciously, "Could you be Black Spider?" She was making a wild guess. When she went to the club to pick up the new uniform, Skye told Ye Li not to tell anyone he provided it. If anyone asked, just say Black Spider provided it. At that time, Jessica and Gwen had suspected that the friend Ye Li mentioned was actually Black Spider. This would explain why Black Spider always helped Gwen. He and Ye Li must have known Ghost Spider's identity for a while now. So Black Spider would help Gwen for Ye Li's sake. That made sense. As for the possibility that Ye Li was Black Spider, Gwen had considered it, but thought it was impossible. Li was so nice. Black Spider was cold and aloof, and now, Jessica saw that Cindy was hiding abilities like Gwen and was close to her brother. "I seriously suspect she's Black Spider." As for the fact that Black Spider looked like a guy, she could be in disguise. Smart Jessica thought this to herself and glanced at Cindy's figure. Well, even though she's got some curves, she could still hide it. "Huh? Jessica, what are you thinking about?" Cindy was confused by Jessica's question. What was she imagining? She denied it. "I'm Spider Silk, not Black Spider." "Jessica, her powers are similar to mine." Gwen chimed in, "But even though Black Spider's uniform and name are similar to mine, she doesn't use spider webbing, so it shouldn't be her." "Oh, right, the powers are different." Jessica realized she had jumped to conclusions. Black Spider can fly. Chapter 60. You are listening at novelfull.audio. "Ghost Spider, can I ask you something?" Cindy closed the distance between them. She was trying to figure out what was going on. How could Ghost Spider have that kind of pull, even though she was a girl? "Hey Cindy." "What the?" Gwen was having a strange reaction too. Suddenly, Cindy seemed so nice, and she felt this urge to hang out with her, make peace, plus Cindy, doing fun, amazing stuff together. Where the heck did that thought come from? Gwen quickly pushed down the weird feelings and said, "What do you want to ask?" Cindy reached out a hand toward Gwen, like she wanted to touch her. "Have you ever been bitten by a spider?" Gwen asked, sounding just as confused. She reached out too. "Are you feeling this too?" Their fingertips inched closer. Finally, their index fingers touched, sending a tingle even through the suit. "What's happening?" Gwen's eyes flickered, and she quickly tried to pull back her hand. She only wanted to feel this with Ye Li. No one else, especially not another girl. Cindy was a little relieved. Finally, she wasn't the only one feeling this weirdness. She laced her fingers through Gwen's, holding her palm. "You feel it too, right?" I. The sensation was overwhelming Gwen. How could this be happening? "What are you two doing?" Jessica asked, looking confused. "When did you guys get so close?" Anyone seeing Cindy and Gwen holding hands like that would think they were a couple. Maybe it was the suit blocking some of it, or maybe because they were both girls, but the attraction between Cindy and Gwen wasn't as intense as it was with Ye Li. After a moment, they broke apart. "What was that?" Gwen eyed Cindy warily. "Is that one of your powers, mind control?" "No." Cindy reasoned, "It must be because we were bitten by the same spider." That made sense, the spider that bit Li was the same one that bit her. That spider's got some serious mojo, Cindy thought. Biting 3 people, who knew? Ye Li was extra attractive to her because the template copied by the system came from Gwen. Huh. Where'd those 2 go? Cindy then realized that Hawkeye and Dr. Octopus were gone. Turns out Otto saw the new arrivals, the female knight, Ghost Spider, and Cindy, who had powers like Spider-Man. Afraid of getting cornered, he bailed. Once Dr. Octopus was gone, Hawkeye wasn't sticking around. His job was just to fight. He'd report the intel. Found someone with Ghost Spider-like powers who isn't Ghost Spider to the pros to investigate. That was that, yeah. This is probably going to land on Barbara's desk, star. Achoo. Barbara, happily goofing off at the club, suddenly sneezed. Ugh. I think the agency's about to dump a new case on me. Hawkeye contacted the action team, enemies withdrawn. Melinda, did you pick anyone up? Patton, things got messy. There were enemies. A few minutes earlier, on the other side of town, Civet Walter took advantage of Dr. Octopus's distraction and bolted from the police station. He was too quick for the cops and S.H.I.E.L.D. agents chasing him. When I get away, I'm taking Felicia and the others and we're disappearing, changing our names. Walter ran like hell, making plans, figuring out how to take care of his wife and daughter. They must be worried sick. Poor kid, hope she's not crying for me. Just as he was thinking about his wife and daughter, a figure leaped out of the shadows ahead. Melinda moved fast, wrapping her legs around Walter's neck in mid-air, taking him down hard. Get off me. Walter struggled, but Melinda had him locked down tight. Who are you? Oh, Melinda chuckled. Mr. Hardy, you know what you've got tucked away in that head of yours. You're suspected of stealing state secrets. You're coming with us. State secrets. Walter's mind flashed back to his youth. He'd been a pretty good thief, a natural at it. Someone claiming to represent the U.S. government had approached him, offered him a ton of money to steal some secret information, because he had a photographic memory, but after he'd snuck into the lab and memorized the gobbledygook experimental equations and serum formulas, he realized he'd been played. It wasn't the U.S. government that hired him. It was the Red Skull, head of Hydra, so after the Super Soldier Project lab got blown up, he kept the secret locked in his brain.